The Existential Crisis Hotline. The Existential Crisis Hotline. The Existential Crisis Hotline. The Existential Crisis Hotline. The Existential Crisis Hotline.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Tuesday night. And I got a really cool video to share tonight. And it's so relevant right now. Drake sent it to me earlier today. I watched it. And I was like, this reminds me of something. And I'm going to show you all that tonight. All right, so let me get it pulled up. I'll jump right into it. Welcome everybody in the chat. What's up, Owen? What's up? What's up, Drake? You had a premonition, he says. Yeah, something. You just... okay, let me pull it up. All right, so... actually, I don't know if I have the right tab pulled up, to be honest. Let me see. Let me get rid of all these extra ones. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I got it. All right. Okay, cool. So, we'll watch through this. I'll make some comments, and then I'll show you a few other things that it seem very relevant. Something seems low. I don't know. Is it just me or Cameron's volume low? Is it low? Oh yeah, it is the AC, guys. I can turn up my mic. If it gets weird, let me know. How's that? Any better? I'll put it closer too. How's this? Is that better? Okay. Well, I'm going to jump into it. You guys let me know in the chat if it sounds better. Better? Okay, cool. Thanks. Hey, Kevin. And Sandro. Hello. All right, let's get going. Because I think I'm going to blow your mind tonight. All right. I know that sounded really weird, but whatever.
A few months ago, I got an email about $100 million that was stolen from the bank accounts of everyday Americans, and almost all of it is still missing. I was intrigued, so I called the guy who emailed me. His name's Chad.
I was adding to it over time, so I think I was doing $50 a week or every 2 weeks or something.
He told me that in 2021, he opened a high-yield savings account at a new bank.
Meet Yata. While most banks pay almost no interest on your savings, Yata partners with banks that pay 15 to 100 times more.
I was expecting the same thing as what I had already had in my credit union, except the potential for greater interest returns.
But in 2024, something weird happened.
On May 12th and May 14th, I tried to pull $10,000 out of there, and it wouldn't let me.
Today, 2 full years later, he still hasn't been able to access his funds. I asked how much.
$23,419.21.
The most incredible part? Yata said the money was FDIC insured. You may also have your emergency fund parked in a high-yield savings account and think that that FDIC insured stamp means it's 100% safe. But what happened to Chad shows that that might not be true. The story he told me was complicated and involved lots of names I'd never heard before.
I think mostly it was Evolve. Evolve will work with Synapse, moving money between Lineage and AMG and Evolve.
He said there were thousands of others in the same boat. I wanted to talk to them. So I posted on the Yata subreddit. Within days, hundreds of people reached out and told me their stories, each unique, but also kind of the same.
I opened the bank account.
It was literally a savings account.
It was FDIC insured.
FDIC insured.
FDIC insured. I deposited over $100,000.
Now it's basically gone.
All my savings were gone.
This money's gone. Somebody stole it.
The money hasn't disappeared. The money still is somewhere.
I find it really odd that a place could literally lose $100 million, take no responsibility.
Yeah, it's crazy.
How could millions of dollars in FDIC insured deposits just disappear from a bank? As I started investigating, I realized that this story is so much bigger than Yada. Silicon Valley billionaires are exploiting a loophole in our financial system that puts thousands of bank accounts at risk, including mine.
I started using Yada in 2020.
I want to say it was back in 2021,
2019. I was kind of on the financial improvement path.
For the first time ever, as mid-30s millennials, my wife and I finally had a little bit of money that we can put into savings. So we were looking for a high-yield savings account.
Enter Yada Savings.
A banking app that has a weekly drawing just like the lottery, except it's free.
It simply was a high-yield savings account that gamified savings.
For every $25 you have saved in your Yata account, you get one new ticket every single week.
Why not make savings fun?
If you don't win, you lose nothing. So no gambling at all. The biggest thing is like, oh, it's FDIC insured, so there's literally zero risk for your money.
I'm that user that will actually read the 30-page agreement. And I went through it before we joined the bank and was like, you know what, this checks out. It is FDIC insured.
FDIC insurance means if your bank fails, the federal government will pay you back for whatever you had in there, up to $250,000.
That was the ultimate guarantee. From that point on, I didn't really need anything else to insure me.
Initially, I put like 10K in, then put another 10K in after a few months.
I started up with an auto transfer for $25 a week.
Was this earmarked for anything in particular?
Yeah, I was saving up for a house.
It was literally my emergency fund.
our family's emergency savings, $26K.
Almost 27,000.
Over 30,000.
88,000.
Dude, it was 100K.
In May 2024, shit hit the fan.
I went to buy furniture. I had to pay $3,000 down. I try to use my Yada debit card and it declines. And I'm like, that's strange. And I try again and I go into the app and it just isn't working.
Yada emailed users saying their funds were frozen temporarily.
At first I thought probably like a security thing, they'll probably be fine in like, a few days or a week or so. Like it's not unheard of for like PayPal or stuff like that to have a temporary freeze.
But weeks later, nothing had changed.
And that's kind of when the email came in from Yada saying, it isn't us, it's the payment processor. What do you mean? You're the bank. Aren't you the payment processor? Like, I'm depositing my money into Yada.
This is when it became clear that Yada is actually not a bank. It's a neobank, a financial technology company, also known as a fintech. Basically, it's an app that does banky stuff like holding your emergency fund and paying you interest on it, but, and this is important, it doesn't have a bank charter. Now, you might be wondering, hey, shouldn't we have some sort of law against that? Well, we do. Under the Glass-Steagall Act of 1933, banks can't take customer deposits unless they have a bank charter. Yet all of these apps seem to do exactly that. How? It's all thanks to Peter Thiel. Back in the 2000s, multiple states were investigating PayPal for potentially operating an illegal bank because they were letting customers keep money in their PayPal accounts. But Thiel had a workaround. See, PayPal partnered with chartered banks, and they were the ones to actually hold the deposits, not PayPal. Thiel aggressively lobbied his case in Congress, and ultimately the FDIC agreed. PayPal was not a bank, so Glass-Steagall didn't apply. You probably have money in a neobank that works like this without even realizing it. For instance,
We're learning all kinds of new words tonight, like neobank. I'd never heard this word before. Pretty interesting.
you bank with Chime? Well, your money is actually in one of these two banks. Current high-yield savings accounts are stashed here or here. And Venmo puts certain types of funds in the Bancorp Bank. Yada listed just one bank partner on their website, Evolve Bank and Trust.
I signed up for the bank thinking this is Yada Bank. I didn't know about Evolve.
So did you see Yada as a bank?
Yes, and I was telling people at work about it. I was like, hey, this is really good. And they're like, is it FDIC insured? And I said, here's the website. It says right on the website that it's FDIC insured.
But a few weeks after Yada users were locked out of their accounts, the FDIC issued this consumer memo, indicating that they were not going to step in here. To explain why, we have to go back to May 2024 when the funds were first frozen. Remember how Yada was blaming the freeze on an outage with their payment processor? It turned out there was another fintech company involved in this called Synapse Financial Technologies.
I wasn't even aware of Synapse.
This is where it starts to get really wild. okay? Because at first you're like, okay, they fucked up, but like there's another company involved and they're also not a bank. And wait till they tell you about how they're storing the money. It's fucking wild.
I didn't know about Synapse.
I had never heard of Synapse.
But there was someone who had.
He has been covering the whole Synapse collapse.
Jason something?
Jason Mikula.
Jason Mikula.
My name is Jason Mikula. I work both in non-bank fintechs as well as working to start Goldman Sachs' retail bank Marcus. I publish a newsletter called Fintech Business Weekly.
Jason explained to me that Synapse was like a matchmaker for fintech companies and banks.
The United States has a lot of banks. There are a lot of small banks that are struggling to survive. So a company like Synapse would make a pitch that's basically, hey, we can help bring you fintech programs, which in turn are going to bring deposits. Deposits are the lifeblood of any bank. The sort of most desirable form is called sleepy money, money that's sitting in a checking account, meaning it doesn't cost the bank anything.
In other words, an emergency fund, exactly what most people use their Yada accounts for. And how did Synapse pitch themselves to fintech companies? Well, their biggest investor, Andreessen Horowitz, called them the Amazon Web Services of...
I didn't see that before. I did not see that before, that it was Mark Andreessen was one of the big funders of Synapse, I guess. This is crazy. I'll talk more about Mark Andreessen in a moment.
Banking, because they made it possible for fintechs to launch quickly. They'd find them the bank partners they need to get around Glass-Steagall, and Synapse would also take care of that pesky technical banking stuff, like, transferring and keeping track of hundreds of millions of customer dollars. So Synapse would collect all the money from their partner Neobanks, not just Yada, but others like Juno and Mercury, and put it in chartered banks. This is a relatively common business model, and there are other middlemen companies similar to Synapse. But here's where it gets a little crazy. Synapse didn't create a separate bank account for each customer. They simply pooled thousands of people's savings together in large FBO accounts, or for benefit of accounts.
So we're looking at a bank statement for one of Synapse's FBO accounts at Evolve. A seemingly endless stream of transactions. Payroll, Cash App, Amazon, people paying their Planet Fitness bill for the month. Wow, that's cheap, $10.
So an FBO account is kind of like if there was hundreds of people sharing one bank account.
Yes.
Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, Robinhood, Betterment, Chime, and many more neobanks often use these giant pooled accounts to manage customer money. So even if it looks like you have $100 in your Venmo account, it could be held in the same account as thousands of other Venmo users. Only Synapse was keeping track of how much money each person had. At one point, Synapse had contracts with 100 fintech companies, resulting in about 10 million end users. But by late 2023, its biggest partnerships were deteriorating, and in April 2024, it declared bankruptcy. Soon, Synapse's software went offline, causing a freeze on all of these user accounts. And this is the reason why the FDIC did not step in. FDIC insurance only applies when a bank collapses, but Synapse wasn't a bank, and it's not FDIC insured. Yada isn't either, for that matter. They were claiming the savings accounts were FDIC insured because the money was in Evolve Bank, who is FDIC insured. But Evolve didn't collapse, so no FDIC insurance.
The FDIC is very, very good at resolving failed banks in a way that does not impact depositors. They have a playbook. There is no playbook for the failure of a third-party technology service provider like Synapse.
The implications of this are huge. If you use Chime, Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo, this applies to you. If any of these companies fail, FDIC insurance will not kick in to protect your funds. While I was reporting this story, I searched for my own FDIC insured savings account on the FDIC website. It wasn't on there, and I realized that my savings are also in a fintech company structured kind of like Yada. Now, I do trust this company and the partner bank, but how would I know if there's a Synapse-like middleman somewhere in there? And even if I did, how would I vet them?
It's essentially impossible for an average consumer to verify that something like this wouldn't necessarily happen to them. Try to call up Chime or try to call up Bancorp and say, hey, are you meeting all the criteria for this kind of insurance to apply? There's no way for you to really verify that.
But wait, it gets worse. Jason showed me an email between Evolve and Synapse employees leaked to him by an anonymous source in October 2023.
The real jaw-dropping moment was this line here. Evolve's employee emails his counterpart at Synapse and says, the balances tend to differ a couple $100 million on the daily. I'm comparing the Synapse data to FBO for consumer and business users. Are there other Evolve accounts I should take into consideration? And this is in November 2022, years before the collapse and users' funds are frozen, and they're saying we can't reconcile, quote, a couple $100 million on the daily, end quote.
You heard that right. Synapse lumped everyone's money together into big bank accounts and then lost track of a bunch of it. To complicate things even more, Synapse had started moving some users' money to other partner banks, AMG, American Bank, and Lineage. Then, when they went bankrupt, their documents revealed that almost $100 million was actually just missing.
Do you know which bank your money was with?
Evolve. It was on all my statements.
Through the Yoda app, there was an account that appeared to show a bank account with Evolve Bank and Trust.
The account number and routing number were Evolve's.
Where do you think the money is?
Evolve.
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 Evolve Bank and Trust.
Evolve Bank only has 8 branches here in the Memphis area, but this tiny regional bank was the power grid for more than 1,000 fintech companies across the country.
Big names like Stripe, Shopify, and Mercury have all worked with Evolve. But many of their partners are super sketchy, like now bankrupt crypto firms BlockFi and FTX. You know, the one where Sam Bankman-Fried embezzled billions of dollars of customer funds. Evolve has been investigated by the FBI for these fintech partnerships, by the DOJ for lending discrimination, and by the Federal Reserve for not having a strong enough anti-money laundering program. And in the past few years, 32 Republican campaigns have suddenly started banking at this small Memphis bank, including former member of Congress George Santos and Representative Andy Ogles. So it shouldn't be shocking to learn that when Yada users showed Evolve their bank statements proving how much money they had in their accounts, Evolve refused to pay them back.
We initiated our own investigation.
They launched this website and in November said they would pay back whatever user funds they had.
I saved over $21,000 over the course of 2.5 years, and they offered me $17 back.
$20.
Like 75 cents.
About $1.75 as a full reconciliation of my account.
Evolve has said they used federal banking and debit card processing data to calculate how much of each person's money they had. And why don't their numbers match up with user statements? They blamed that on Synapse.
There's just like radio silence from Yada. Evolve is like, we're not responsible, it's Synapse. And Synapse is like, we're not responsible, we're not a company anymore. Like, no one is responsible for my money.
It's that Spider-Man meme, right? It's the 3 Spider-Mans all pointing at each other. You lost the ledgers. No, you lost the ledgers. And nobody's gotten in trouble.
It's clearly somebody's fault. Who did this? Who stole my money?
I think it's really hard to single out a particular villain. It's the system that failed.
Hillary Allen is a financial
I swear that's a line from Mark Fisher's Capitalist Realism. I'm pretty sure that's where I read that, where it was like, you know, you look at the 2008 thing and it's like, well, we can't really figure out any individuals who are to blame. It's like a systemic thing. Crazy.
Regulation expert. She told me that there are 3 main federal agencies that regulate banks, but none of them have authority over fintechs. Instead, neobanks have to register with each state as a money business.
When you have a patchwork of regulatory regimes like that, it's pretty easy for things to fall through the cracks.
The Consumer Finance Protection Bureau is the only federal agency that has tried to rein in fintechs. But now the Trump administration is dismantling it thanks to tech billionaires like Mark Andreessen, whose VC firm has invested in nearly 100 fintech companies. And okay, yes, big banks suck and they probably do need some healthy competition. But do we trust Silicon Valley to lead that charge?
Where you have people's payments data, that's incredibly valuable. The fintech industry is essentially, through these partnerships, trying to free ride on those benefits without having to pay for the compliance costs.
Okay, that's a key point where they said having the payment data. Okay, we'll come back to that after this video is over. It's almost over.
And by the way, there's a reason that we have those regulations. Up until the 1930s, when a bank collapsed, everyone just lost their money.
Deposit insurance was introduced by popular demand. People said this is ridiculous. There should be something to protect our money when the banks go under. And it's not surprising to hear the customers of Yoda echoing the same thing.
The other reason Yotta and Synapse didn't face enough scrutiny from regulators is even more depressing. Take the case of Silicon Valley Bank.
Increasing fallout following the
I remember
historic
this.
collapse of Silicon Valley Bank. $1.8 billion.
It was the bank that funded the tech community.
SVB depositors did get bailed out. The government said, we're just going to cover everyone's deposits, even above 250K. The very perverse lesson about Synapse was it wasn't big enough. It's everyday people who missed a mortgage payment, got their car repossessed.
My mom got sick with cancer, and all of these costs compounded.
We're right back into breaking out the credit card for life expenses.
I started incurring credit card debt.
Credit card debt.
On top of a mortgage.
I've just given up hope on buying a house.
I had to empty out my retirement accounts from the military.
My roof has got a leak in it. I'd love to have the money to help cover that cost. You know what I mean? It's difficult. So
it really is the classic Silicon Valley story, making individuals shoulder responsibility for things that they are profiting from. This move fast and break things, this disregard for regulatory compliance. The claim is that they are doing tech innovation, but really their tech often is lackluster or isn't the draw. The draw is not complying with the law.
The CFPB eventually did file a complaint against Synapse over a year after it declared bankruptcy. That doesn't penalize anyone at Synapse, it just lets the CFPB tap into a civil penalties fund to pay back victims. That could take another couple years, and the fund won't cover all the money that's still missing.
It's a reverse bank robbery. The bank robbed the users as opposed to the users robbing the bank.
How can we prevent something like this from happening again? The answer is actually pretty simple. Ban fintech bank partnerships. We already have the law, we just need lawmakers to enforce it.
If you want to be a bank, you should be a bank, and it should come with all the benefits and the costs that come from having a bank charter.
So, where are...
What do you guys think are the odds of that happening? Banning these partnerships? Give me the odds. Let's play polymarket here, okay? What are the odds?
They now. I just checked the App Store and Yotta is still on there. Looks like it's turned into a full-on gambling app. Its founder, Adam Moelis, didn't face any consequences. His dad's...
Dude, is that ironic or what? It's just now... It's just a gambling app.
A billionaire with ties to the Trump administration.
Oh, wow.
Synapse's CEO was featured in Time a few months ago for his new company, creating AI-powered robot soldiers.
I think future of warfare is real-life video games.
He's already gotten millions of dollars in funding, including from Eric Trump. And as for...
Also, on that real-life video games thing, I recommend a book. If you haven't read this, it's great. Zone 23 by C.J. Hopkins. In a post-catastrophic dystopian future, peaceful, prosperous, and corporate-controlled, nonconformity is a diagnosable disorder, and the human race is being genetically corrected to establish peace on Earth. However, Taylor, a Class 3 antisocial person confined to quarantine Zone 23, and Valentina, a variant positive normal from the upscale residential communities, have other plans for their future. Their rebellion against the forces of normality is a hilarious, heartbreaking affirmation of the anarchic human spirit and a defiant departure from the norms of both the genre sci-fi and literary novel. It's really good. There's like this whole element of it where there's a video game, like imagine like Call of Duty, but it's like drones and you're like doing drone strikes on terrorists. But like the people playing it, I'm pretty sure they don't realize that it's real. Like they think it's a game, but the people who are sort of like in the underclass, like they know because they're actually seeing the drones like blowing up these terrorists, which are basically antisocial people. I mean, it's a whole context to it, but they're literally like, it's like a big, you know, TV event, basically. It's like a TV show where you have like the top leaders and everything. It's like taking that whole concept to a whole other level. I mean, imagine that in the future. Like, I could see that happening. The UFC at the White House is just like the beginning of that kind of movement towards that kind of stuff.
Revolve, earlier this year, it announced a partnership with Mr. Beast for his banking app for kids. Evolve's former CEO was recently arrested for child porn.
What?
Where do you put your savings nowadays?
In one of those big banks.
In a local bank.
Brick and mortar.
It's right down the street. I can go in there if I got any problems.
I wish I could just stuff it all in a mattress because my trust for any financial institution is at an all-time low.
Even now, like even talking about it kind of makes me like a bit emotional because it's, you know, I have always kind of like prided myself as someone that is like relatively responsible with their money.
We're told that it's on us individually to protect ourselves from companies with huge amounts of lobbying.
Oh yeah, that's the point from the Mark Fisher thing, where it's like the responsibility is on the individual, right? But then when something big happens that affects a lot of people, it's like, wow, we don't know who's responsible. It's just a systemic thing. But if we talk about, yes, there's a, you know, like you have the left saying like there's systemic racism and all that. Like, what are you talking about? It's just individual choices. Like, it's your choice to behave a certain way. But then when these kind of things happen, it's like, it's just a systemic problem, guys. It's kind of weird, right?
And huge amounts of lawyering. I'm a law professor who studies financial regulation for a living, and it's hard for me to parse the fine print sometimes. To say that individuals bear the burden of protecting themselves from those business models is a really messed up way, frankly, of dealing with things.
Thank you so much for watching. And
It's my pleasure for watching. Okay, so remember we were talking about what are the odds that they're going to ban these things, right? So you've got Mark Andreessen involved in these kind of things, Elon, Peter Thiel, right? And these are all big backers of Trump, right? Elon's got all the big Pentagon contracts. Peter Thiel's involved with that, I'm sure, at some level. Actually, there's that bank that I believe it was Peter Thiel and Palmer Luckey. I can't remember the name. It was like a Lord of the Rings name. Palmer Luckey Bank. What is it called? Erebor. Is it an actual bank? It's got a banking charter. It's a crypto-focused bank. Okay, interesting. Okay, but check this out. So we've got, you know, talk about being financially responsible, right? It just shows you the problem is everywhere. The problem is everywhere. I saw this today. U.S. debt now exceeds 100% of GDP for the first time since World War II. That seems like a problem. Okay, now check this out. Welcome to X Money. Accounts, wait, what did it say? For everyday spending, savings, sending, and more. Tap into everything. You get a custom metal Visa debit card. Pay anyone, any way. Pay your rent. Wait, go back. It's too fast. Pay your rent, send a wire, mail a check, or pay friends, all with X Money. Earn while you sleep. Your cash earns industry-leading interest with no minimum balance. Secured with passkeys, okay. Access up to $10 million of FDIC. That's interesting. So they're not doing the 250, they're doing the 10 million. Welcome to X Money. Okay, so that's posted by Elon Musk 5 days ago. And I'll show you a couple other posts. So this guy says, X Money pays 6% on cash with no limit. The risk-free rate is 3.6%. I'm not really sure what they mean by that. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Risk-free rate is a theoretical baseline return on an investment with zero risk of default. So I don't really understand why it says 6%. The risk-free rate is 3%, 6.6, but okay. Cross River, the bank that holds the money, earns nowhere near 6%. Okay, so it's a neobank, I guess. I don't know for certain if that's the term, but I guess it's a neobank because they're not holding the money. They've got a bank called Cross River that holds the money. Cross River doesn't earn 6% on the money it holds, but X Money is saying they're going to give you 6% on the money that's being held by Cross River through X Money. Says, so someone is paying the difference. A safe dollar earns about the Fed funds rate, 3.5 to 3.75% right now. T-bills near 3.6%, money funds near 3.5. That means X covers more than 2 points on every dollar every year before Cross River takes its spread. Banking can't produce that number, so the gap is a subsidy. SpaceX is paying it now. X belongs to SpaceX. XAI bought X last March. SpaceX absorbed XAI in February. And the company combined went public on June 12th. A profitable rocket company is funding an AI build-out and an above-market deposits for almost 600 million users. The card is underwater too. 3% cashback with no limit on a debit rail where interchange tops out near 1.5%. They pay out roughly double what each swipe earns. For Musk, that's rational over the long term. Buy 600 million banking relationships below cost, and the Everything app pays for itself eventually. Musk is comfortable with extreme levels of risk. Tesla and SpaceX both came incredibly close to bankruptcy before turning into what they are today. But will regulators in Congress be as forgiving with people's savings? Elizabeth Warren and the Senate Banking Committee both wrote to Musk on April 14th the same question. Where does the 6% come from? No public answer. A deposit rate above the risk-free rate, funded from a source nobody will name, sitting inside the app 600 million people argue on. Whoever's paying decides how long it lasts. Like, who's paying that extra amount? Is it just leveraging from SpaceX? And then I saw a thing. I'll show you one more thing real quick. X Trump Fund. Or I should have looked up SpaceX, yeah. SpaceX is reportedly in talks with the Trump administration over donating stock to help fund children's Trump accounts. Drake says, risk-free meaning they could get away with giving 3.6, but they're promising 6%. Yeah, that's what I assumed it meant, but my point was just like, then why are they saying 6? Like, if it's not guaranteed, but okay. So it's just like, maybe we will, right? But, so SpaceX is talking about giving stock to help fund children's Trump accounts. Can you imagine a scenario where there's all this stuff built up around the value of SpaceX, like all this money in X? Imagine a lot of people start using X for the money point. Imagine there's all this SpaceX stock in these Trump accounts for kids that, you know, if you're born between a certain year, I forget what it is, it's like 2025, I think, you can open for your child like some Trump account where basically it's just accumulates money based on the stock market, I think. I don't know the details of it, but it's based on the stock market. And companies can donate stock to it somehow. So you've got that writing on it. You've got on SpaceX value. You've got all the money here in this X Money thing that's apparently probably going to grow over time. And then you've also got all of the 401ks that are going into the NASDAQ. And I just saw, I think it said July 7th, they're going to add SpaceX to the index, the NASDAQ 100 index. So you're going to have all that riding on it, all on one company. So to me, it looks like one of those things where it's like everything's riding on one thing, so you can't let it fail. So no matter what, you'll prop it up. That's just my speculation of where that could possibly lead to. So even if they, for some reason, don't succeed in some area, I mean, dude, I'm not trying to make claims or accusations about Elon or anything, because I'm just talking speculatively, right? But if you read Delta V, there's this billionaire who has like multiple companies, and he's like taking money from all these different companies to fund a secret project that nobody knows about, that if it doesn't succeed, like he's going to prison because he's taken money from all these different places and like promised returns, and they're kind of like, where's our money, where's our money? He's like, oh, hold tight, we need a little bit more time, kind of thing, right? So I'm not saying that's what Elon is doing, but that would be a possibility there, right? Where it's like you have all this money leveraged, and it's like if he's like really serious about, I want to go to the moon, he could leverage that stuff for that, right? Yeah, they didn't even let GM and Ford go under, and that was just cars, like Sandra's saying. Exactly. So that's a point to just consider. And I guess I'm just trying to show, I'm not trying to make any like specific predictions. I'm just looking at like something doesn't seem right here. Here's another one. So that first one, that first post I showed you, this one here, is a little bit more like negative, like what the hell is going on. This one's maybe a little bit more positive. Let's just see what it says. X is paying 6% on deposits it can park risk-free, about 4.5%. That 1.5 gap is the cheapest customer acquisition channel in fintech history. So so the way I interpreted that is, because he's offering 6% and no one else is willing to do that on just putting your money somewhere, but you know, they can only get, this says 4.5% risk-free. And I guess that has to do with the bond or the interest rates and so forth that are there. But that 1.5% gap, it's like X could just fund that and basically pay for it. So they're, you know, if you take $1 million and you look at what's 6% of that, but 4.5% of it doesn't really cost them anything. It's because it's just going to come in from the interest of wherever the bank is at, or whatever the interest that the bank that the money is at is getting. Then that 1.5%, X could take it out of its own pocket and just pay it. So they're just paying you to be a customer there and put your money here. So I think that's what this guy's getting at, is like, yeah, they're just taking money. And like, where did they get this money from? Well, they just got valued at 1.7 trillion. They got hundreds of millions in cash from all the stock buying that happened, and they only sold 5% of the company, I think it was 5%. Okay, run it on a $10,000 balance. The spread X hands back is roughly $150 a year to own that deposit. So basically, X is paying $150 out of their pocket to hold that $10,000 balance for you, so that you will put your money there. SoFi pays around $350 to acquire one banking customer. I'm kind of blanking on what SoFi is. Okay, it's just a banking place. Okay, I'd never heard of it before. Maybe I haven't, I just didn't know about it. Check your rate for a chance to win. It's always the gambling stuff now, man. Okay, so there's some big financial company. Okay. SoFi pays around $350 to acquire one banking customer, once you stack the referral bonus and the direct deposit incentive. So they have incentives to acquire a new customer. They offer these incentives like a referral bonus that they pay to someone who referred you, and then they give you some direct deposit incentives, so they have to pay for that. and that costs them about $350 per customer. Chime, remember they talked about Chime, lands under 100, and that buys a paycheck-to-paycheck user. It has to upsell into loans to earn anything. X is picking up a primary banking relationship, so all your money goes in there, potentially, or it's a primary thing you would use, right? Drake says, it's like when Chase says you bank with us and deposit X amount, we'll give you $200. Yeah, exactly. So they're just basically paying $200 to get a new customer app. Okay, so X is picking up a primary banking relationship for about $150 a year from a user it already reaches for free. So I'm on X, for example. So if I were to start using this, it's because I knew about it from X. So I'm already using their platform. I don't have a subscription on here. I don't have a, what do you call it? I forget what it's called. I don't have a blue check mark. But you could pay for one. Legacy Bank runs the opposite trade. They pay you under 1%, earn about 4.5% on your money and pocket the difference. U.S. banks pulled roughly $485 billion a year out of that gap. So they hold your money, they give you under 1%, and because of that 4.5%, they just keep the other 3.5%, I guess. No bank will ever invert it because the spread is the only product it sells. Interesting. X can invert it for one reason, and by invert, they mean they can actually pay you to bank there. They give you the difference and they actually pay more out. So instead of getting 1% on your money, you're getting 6%, but that's costing them that 1.5%. Okay, the deposit is a wedge, and I think this is the key point. The deposit is a wedge into your financial life, and the wedge is worth more than the spread. Once your paycheck, your card, and your P2P transfers live inside the app, like, kind of like Venmo, like, oh, I'll send you some money, or, for fucking walking my dog or whatever. Or, you bought me dinner last night and I'm going to pay you back, right? Lifetime value stops being 1.5% of a balance. It turns into interchange on every swipe. Premium upgrades, creator payouts, the marketplace, and ads served to a logged-in financial user. So how much more are you going to use the app? Minion says, this is how money actually works. The 6% buys the relationship. Everything downstream pays for it. The $10 million FDIC number runs on a cash sweep. Your balance gets parceled across 40 plus partner banks, each holding under the 250,000 federal ceiling, with Cross River as the anchor. Fidelity and Mercury have used this exact plumbing for years. Elon is the first to bolt it onto a feed with 600 million people already on it. That distribution is the whole game. Every neobank spent a decade and hundreds of millions buying an audience. X started with one and is renting it back to itself for 1.5 points a year. Interesting, as I like to say. Very interesting. Let me see if I have any other things about it. I don't have anything else on that particularly. Oh, but they were talking about Mark Andreessen being a part of all that stuff, and I showed you guys this last night. Now Mark Andreessen's been appointed to the Pentagon's new Defense Policy Board. Blake Masters and Mark Andreessen and national security expert Michael Anton to its policy board. I don't know most of those names. Mark Andreessen was picked for his deep expertise in tech innovation and defense-related investments. co-founder of A16Z venture capital firm. Okay, so I didn't realize that. We had looked at that before, but I thought he was just Andreessen Horowitz. Maybe I just didn't understand. A16Z. Oops. Oh, okay, that's their website. Because we had looked at this before, and I just assumed the name of his company was Andreessen Horowitz, but it is A16Z. I just didn't realize that they're the same thing. Okay. The Techno Capital Machine. Combine technology and markets, and you get what Nick Land has termed the Techno Capital Machine, the engine of perpetual material creation, growth, and abundance. We believe the Techno Capital Machine of markets and innovation never ends, but instead spirals continuously upward. The Techno Capital Machine makes natural selection work for us in the realm of ideas. The best and most productive ideas win and are combined and generate even better ideas. Those ideas materialize in the real world as technologically enabled goods and services that would have never emerged de novo. Not utopia, but close. We believe the constrained vision, contra the unconstrained vision of utopia, communism, and expertise, means taking people as they are, testing ideas empirically, and liberating people to make their own choices. We believe in not utopia, but also not apocalypse. Interesting. Becoming technological supermen. Advancing technology is one of the most virtuous things that we can do. We believe in humanity. It's just so weird that he's quoting Nick Land, because that's not the conclusion I would get from Nick Land's work. Is Nick Land pro-human? Let's see what it says. No. Nick Land is explicitly anti-humanist. The British philosopher and founder of accelerationism argues that humanity is an obsolete, inefficient biological obstacle to technological evolution. His core theory posits that an unstoppable, hyper-intelligent techno-capital machine will and should replace humanity. Land believes technology and capitalism are autonomous, runaway systems that will eventually outgrow and replace human control. He famously summarized this with his declaration that nothing human makes it out of the near future. Rather than prioritizing human survival, happiness, or human rights, his philosophy advocates for the relentless acceleration of artificial intelligence and intelligence expansion. In his later post-academic work, he co-founded this neo-reactionary movement, which argues that democracy actively stifles long-term technological advancement in favor of short-term human interests. So explain this statement. Combine technology and markets and you get what Nick Land has termed the techno-capital machine, the engine of perpetual material creation, growth, and abundance. And we believe in humanity. I can't square that circle. What does it mean to square the circle? To square the circle is an idiom that means attempting to do the impossible. It typically refers to the act of trying to solve an insoluble problem or bringing together two mutually exclusive things that cannot logically coexist. The phrase comes from an ancient Greek geometric problem. Can you construct a circle with the exact same area as a given circle, using only an unmarked straight edge and a compass and a finite number of steps? It is mathematically impossible. So I'm trying to square this circle here. How we believe in humanity and how we also are quoting Nick Land here. I don't get it. Can someone help me get it? The colonel's name in freedom is Andreessen? don't remember that. I don't remember when they told us that. I must have fell asleep at that part. I missed a whole part of freedom, although I can't tell you what that part is without spoiling it for somebody. There was like a whole plot point that I just totally missed, and then later I was like, wait, how did this happen? I thought this guy was doing this or something, and I'm like, I missed something, clearly. And I went back to look for it, and I couldn't find it. Then I was asking a few people. I think I asked Sandro. I think I asked somebody else. Mitch? Yeah, I asked Mitch. And you both told me the answer, and I was like, oh, that I was confusing Colonel with Major. That's why. He's saying that's the Major's friend. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I was like, did they ever tell you the Major's name? Not the Colonel. So yeah, that's pretty weird stuff. I saw this earlier. New landmark study suggests regular screen time for babies before age 2 may harm development and the ability to learn later in life. Someone says, this study is fucking bogus. Screens can be used for educational purposes only. Yes, they can be. Using a screen for dumb shit on YouTube or TikTok for your baby or yourself would make anyone retarded. Yes, that's the point. This person says, as a kid/teen, I read hundreds of books. Now, after using the internet and phones for so long, I can't focus to read very long. Being constantly exposed to short-form media has pretty much given me ADD. That hasn't happened to me. Although I don't watch a lot of short form, but I do look at X a lot. Let me see what else. I don't know if you're still there. I'm assuming you're there, Drake, but you were saying that it's pretty crazy in Venezuela. Do you have any links or anything? There's this earthquake there. Maybe I'll just look into it. If you have any links, let me know. Venezuela earthquakes. So obviously I'd heard about this, but apparently it's like really bad. Let's see what The Guardian says. I don't know if I'll even be able to read it. 58,000 buildings estimated destroyed in Venezuela earthquakes. More than 58,000 buildings have been damaged and destroyed by the twin earthquakes. So there was a 7.2 and a 7.5. That's insane. I remember this time I went to California. My mom had moved there, and so I went to visit her. I was younger. I was probably like, I don't know, 10, something like that. And I went to go visit her there, and she had an apartment in LA, I think. Yeah, it was definitely in LA. I just don't know what part. But I remember we were in her apartment, and it was so surreal. Like, it was just like, you just started feeling everything moving. And I was like, what is happening? It was so, because I mean, I wasn't from California. I'd never been in an earthquake before, but it was just like, everything was just shaking for a moment. And then it stopped. And my mom comes in the room, because she was in another room, and she was like, you know, get in the, like the doorway, I suppose, like the door frame. She's like, get in the door frame. Because I guess that's like the safest place to be if you're in a building. But it only lasted for like maybe a couple seconds is what it felt like. And I think it was like a 4.5 or a 4.0. So it wasn't like a crazy big one or anything, but I was like, it was just such a weird, surreal experience because I was like, what's happening right now? Right? It was just so weird. I can't even explain what it felt like. It was just very weird. And then we went to Universal Studios and did that really long train ride through all the different movie stuff. And there's this one, have you guys seen this? Universal Studios earthquake ride. I don't know if this is the one. Yes, this is the one. You're on this train, okay? This little train. going through the tour. You don't know this is going to happen, not when you're a 10-year-old kid and no one told you.
Secret though, I can't tell you the name of the movie who's in it, but Hannah got us clearance to drive through the set while the cast or crew are on break right now. This is our famous subway station set. It's been seen in the film Beverly Hills Cop 3 with Eddie Murphy. Now this is what we call a hot set. It is a hot set because everything is set and ready to film as soon as the director yells, action. One of my favorite things that I love to point out on a hot set is craft services. That's movie lingo for food. Very important on any movie or TV set. Your craft services is over in the far left corner with the pink tablecloth.
Now imagine you're a 10-year-old kid. You don't know what's going on. You're like, what's this?
Everybody's happy and well fed on set. Now for this specific movie they are shooting in here, they've decorated it to look like a subway station in San Francisco. We know this by signs that say San Francisco Airport, Golden Gate Bridge, and don't worry, it's a little California trimmer. We get them all the time here. Oh boy. Nope, oh, nope, this is our little guys. Hang on tight. Oh, now they're just really... The worst of it is over. Oh wait. Oh boy, there's a lot of water headed for us.
Yeah. That was a little, man, I'm getting PTSD. I was not expecting that when I was a kid. I'm like, what the fuck's happening? You know what else it reminds me of? I don't know if you guys ever did this one. This was insane, okay? There was this movie when I was a kid called Backdraft, and it was like about firefighters fighting crazy fires and stuff. And this was another thing. I don't know if it was the same time when I went to Universal Studios. I guess so. It must have been the same one. But this was insane. So you're like in this room, and then this is what's happening. Oh great, the ceiling's on fire. Just that part though, right? Oh, now it's spewing chemicals. also equally terrifying as a child. And it's funny because in my memory, the whole ceiling's on fire, everything's on fire. I'm like, when's that part gonna happen? I think maybe that's actually from the movie. I don't know why I saw that movie as a child. But I think maybe I was like mixing it up with an actual movie scene. But yeah, also pretty crazy. Anyways, so back to real life. Let's see. It says at least almost 2,000 people killed, injured more than 10,000, left tens of thousands missing. $855 buildings had been damaged. Although I don't understand how that comes to 58,000. But, yeah, I don't understand that. Including 189 total collapses. That is really crazy. After analyzing high resolution radar, okay, it looks like almost 60,000 buildings were damaged or destroyed. That is so crazy, man. Increased risks of outbreaks. Man. Somebody says, my entire life is gone. Everything. My grandmother, my pets, all of them are my family. The help arrived late. It's taking too long. People are just basically trapped. That is not good. Majority of homes from small houses to 3-story buildings and apartment blocks are badly damaged. It's just madness everywhere. There was earthquakes in California and Philippines and Japan. Yeah, I heard about that too. June earthquakes. June earthquakes. Venezuela, June 24th. A 7.2 followed by a 7.5, which is, from what I understand, really strong. In Japan offshore, there was a 6.9. Northern California, there was a 5.6, which is still pretty big. Yeah, I don't know what else to say to that, but that's pretty crazy. Okay, let's see what else, if there's anything else. Oh yeah, the stomach churning parasite that causes explosive watery diarrhea has reportedly made sick over 140 people across multiple states. What's that about? A parasite, cyclospora. Let's see. Excretion of unsporulated oocysts in the stool. Environmental contamination. Wait, so is it literally caused by poor hygiene? How does this work? A genus of apicomplexan parasites. Parasitic alveolates. Look at that. That one little tiny thing Can fuck up your whole world. What does it actually do, though? How does cyclospora affect humans? Cannot type that far away. Cyclosporine. No, that's not what I mean. No, the parasite. Single-celled parasite infects the small intestine of humans, causing a foodborne diarrheal illness called cyclosporiasis. Humans typically contract it by consuming fresh produce or water contaminated with infected feces. What's that about? Watery diarrhea, profound long-lasting tiredness, abdominal cramping, loss in appetite, flu-like symptoms. How does it actually interact in the body? An obligate intracellular parasite, meaning it must live and reproduce directly inside human cells. It specifically targets, invades, and destroys the cells lining the upper small intestine. Oops. When a person swallows contaminated food or water, the protective shell of the mature parasite egg is broken down by stomach acid and digestive enzymes. This process releases active mobile forms of the parasite called sporozoites into the intestinal tract. They immediately burrow into the enterocytes, the epithelial cells that form the inner lining of the small intestine. Once inside the gut cells, the parasite undergoes a complex life cycle consisting of two distinct cellular phases. So it multiplies rapidly, forming clusters. Those burst and release new parasites that invade neighboring cells, causing a cascading loop of destruction. Eventually, some parasites differentiate. Okay. As millions of parasites replicate and burst out of the enterocytes, they cause physical and structural damage to the gut wall. It strips away the microvilli, tiny microscopic hair-like structures on gut cells that absorb nutrients and fluids. The finger-like projections of the intestines flatten out and become inflamed. Because the small intestine's surface area is heavily damaged, it loses its ability to absorb water, electrolytes, and nutrients from food. Unabsorbed fluids build up rapidly in the intestinal tract, resulting in frequent, watery, and explosive diarrhea. The profound fatigue and weight loss associated with the infection stem directly from this induced state of temporary malabsorption. The new eggs are shed back into the person's stool. However, because they require days or weeks in the environment to mature, become infectious, you can't really spread it directly from one person to another through immediate contact, unless you shit in their face. This is not possible, but it is possible. Well, I guess it takes days or weeks, so. Yeah, I guess you'd have to collect it for a bit. Crazy. How does the immune system fight back? Specialized mucosal immune response centered entirely within the gut wall. Damaged enterocytes release chemical distress signals. Dude, the body is crazy. So basically your immune system gets to work. A healthy immune system often takes 2 to 4 weeks to fully evict it. Damn. Because it's highly adept at hiding inside host cells, shielding it from direct antibody attacks. That's crazy, dude. That's like some secret agent stuff. Sandra says, is it ironic that insurance calls earthquakes acts of God? Are earthquakes caused by God? They're caused by movement of tectonic plates. Whether earthquakes are caused by God is a deeply personal question. Ultimately, science provides the measurable physical explanation for how they happen. But does God exist? It's one of the most profound and most deeply debated questions in human history. But as an AI, what do you think? What do you think it's going to say? I do not have personal beliefs because I do not have a consciousness. But analyzing what you know, what do you think? Let's see what it says. It cannot be solved by data alone. Why data cannot solve it? Science and faith are answering two different questions. So science cannot answer why. Interesting. Science cannot give you ultimate purpose or meaning. There you go, guys. Existentialist philosophers who wrote about humans said that they must create their own why. What odds would you place on it? You can't do it. No, just intuitively. You can't have intuition. Oh well, I tried, guys. I tried. Why are insurance clauses referring to acts of God? Purely secular technical term to describe a severe, unpredictable natural event that occurs entirely outside of human control and cannot be prevented by reasonable care. Defining zero human blame. Where there is no human to blame. But if you consider the butterfly effect, it is possible that someone caused an earthquake simply because they chose to eat at McDonald's rather than Burger King. From a theoretical physics standpoint, yes. In a purely deterministic universe, choosing McDonald's over Burger King could technically trigger an earthquake via the butterfly effect. The physics of the scenario. An earthquake occurs when underground tectonic stress overcomes friction, causing rock to suddenly slip. To trigger that slip, the stress of the fault line must reach a microscopic tipping point. By choosing to drive to McDonald's instead of Burger King, you slightly displace the air, alter the thermal output of your car engine, and shift the timing of a traffic pattern. In a hypersensitive chaotic system, those minute atmospheric vibrations could theoretically ripple through the ground, vibrating a single grain of sand at the fault line, causing the rock to slip today instead of tomorrow. Do you think with super advanced quantum computing we could keep track of all of these things and find out who caused the earthquake? Even if it's something only possible far in the future. No? Ah. Can't ever know, guys. That's good. If that's the case, then how do we know anyone is responsible for anything, considering Donald Hoffman's arguments? That's the core paradox. Let's see. The desktop analogy, reality shift. Responsibility exists via conscious agents. If physical objects do not cause things, what does? Oh, so even Donald Hoffman's not getting out of this one. How do we know anyone's responsible? Under physicalism, we don't. Wait. So under physicalism, we don't have any free will. Hard determinism says free will is an illusion. The current popular view is that free will does exist. Acting without internal or external coercion. What part would be the thing acting without internal or external coercion if everything affects everything else? You've hit on the exact flaw that makes many philosophers reject compatibilism. If a web of prior physical causes shapes everything, how can we draw a line between internal and external forces? To solve this paradox, physical compatibilists do not look for a magical isolated part. Instead, they look at the type of processing loop the brain is using to make the decision. Under physicalism, the thing acting without coercion is your desire evaluation system. Compatibilists use three main frameworks to explain how a brain can be free while entirely controlled by physics. Hierarchical desires, a basic immediate urge, second order desire. Look at this, is like they really looked into this. You get pushed off a high dive board. Kinetic energy from an outside physical mass. Someone holds a gun to your head to force a jump. A threat overrides your brain's normal reasoning, but you choose to jump after thinking about it. Your internal neural network But what is the you choosing? The you is not a single isolated soul or a central commander sitting inside your brain. It's an emergent biological process. Under physicalism, you are a biological hurricane. You are made of trillions of atoms, none of which are conscious or possess free will on their own. But when organized into your specific brain structure, they form a unified, self-aware system capable of processing data. The you is the whole system operating together. Neuroscience shows that the brain creates a specific trick to make the you feel like a single person. So it's possible that just one of my atoms makes me do things. No? I feel like this doesn't really work. The only theoretical scenario where a single atom might impact a choice is if it triggers a chaotic tipping point via a quantum event. So the you is not a real thing, but you are responsible because as a whole real thing, you are making choices even though all of your choices are just interacting with the environment. It's like they just can't admit that there's this actual self. Interesting, as I say. Yeah, okay, well, I think I've beat that horse. All right, guys. Yeah, crazy stuff. That X money thing, I don't know how to describe it. I just see all these little dots, all these different Silicon Valley billionaire guys. They're all working behind the scenes. They're working together. Everything's being pushed and accelerated. And what is the driving principle behind all of this? Like, if we can't prevent all this death and destruction in Venezuela, what is the point of all of this? Crazy. Let's see if there's anything else. FAA is legalizing supersonic flight over U.S. land for the first time in 53 years. Yeah, I think I'll leave it at that for tonight, guys. Man, interesting. I was listening to a bunch of Bernard audios today, or a few anyways. And yeah, actually, that's a good point, Sandro. Full circle, the fintechs going under is an act of God if no human is to blame. Right. It's like, oh, it's a system. It's like, well, we should change the system. Well, no, you can't change the system. It's like, are we in control of the system or not? Like, is the system actually us? It's like, well, no, it's just like your body. There's no real self there. It's a self-emergent property, but there's no individuals. Like, your cells are not individually conscious. Dude, it's actually crazy because what was I listening to today? I was listening to Consciousness is a System of Government by Bernard Pullman. And he was making this point about the cells in the body and making the comparison between how the body is structured versus like the president and like all the citizens. Maybe we'll listen to that at some point. But as I was listening to it today, I'm like, dude, I don't know if people are ready for this, man. I don't know. Some of it, you might need your hand held a little bit because you don't want to accept certain things yet. I know you guys in the chat can handle it, but we'll see. If you guys have any, here's one thing. If you have any, like, let's say Bernard audios that you want me to watch on the stream and comment on, let me know. You can message me wherever. You guys know how to reach me. I'll listen to them and then see if it makes sense to talk about them. Because there's so many good ones. All right, guys. Appreciate y'all in the chat, and see y'all tomorrow night. Let me think. Yeah, I'm planning on doing a stream tomorrow night. I have to go do something a little bit out of town tomorrow in the afternoon, and I don't know how long that's going to take me. So if I'm not going to stream, I'll post about it on Facebook, but probably I will be able to, because it's not that far away, but I have to go take a cow basically somewhere for to get her AI'd, as they say. That's right. I'm getting the new beta release of Neuralink for cows. It's gonna be pretty cool. So I'll get some AI in my cow, and should be pretty cool. The Bruce Lee one, I don't know what you're referring to. Talking about like a Portal interview? Man, I don't know, maybe. If you send me one, I'll consider it though. All right, guys, see y'all tomorrow night. Most likely, if not, I'll post about it and then you'll know. I will see y'all later.